3 companies, 3 industries nobody believed he could crack, told he would fail by experts in every single one, publicly humiliated, financially destroyed, personally broken multiple times. And yet here we are. This video is not about admiring Elon Musk. It is about extracting the 5 psychological mechanisms that made him impossible to stop, so you can apply every single one of them to whatever is trying to stop you right now. Watch until the end. Mechanism 1. He made failure non-fatal by design. The story. In 2008, Elon Musk was simultaneously watching SpaceX's 3rd rocket fail on the launch pad and Tesla on the verge of bankruptcy. He had invested his entire PayPal fortune, approximately $180 million, into both companies. He had nothing left. He was sleeping on friends' couches and borrowing money to make payroll. The psychology. Most people treat failure as evidence that they should stop. Musk had pre-decided, before the failures happened, that failure was information, not a verdict. He had mentally rehearsed the worst possible outcome and decided in advance that it was survivable. This pre-commitment to continuing through failure is not recklessness. It is the deliberate removal of the exit option that most people keep available, which allows them to quit before the breakthrough arrives.
The mechanism. 1. Before beginning any significant pursuit, ask, what is the worst realistic outcome and can I survive it? 2. If the answer is yes, commit fully and pre-decide that the worst outcome will not stop you, only redirect you. 3. Remove the mental exit door before you start. People who keep the exit available use it. Mechanism 2. He compressed time by playing a longer game. The story. When Musk announced his plan to colonize Mars, the reaction from the aerospace industry was near universal ridicule. NASA engineers with decades of experience publicly stated it was impossible. His response was to continue working on a timeline measured in decades, not quarterly earnings.
The psychology. Short-term thinking is the primary psychological mechanism through which most ambitious plans are abandoned. When progress is measured against an unrealistically short timeline, the absence of visible results in months produces the feeling of failure, and that feeling produces quitting. Musk's consistent competitive advantage has been the willingness to measure progress against a timeline long enough for the plan to actually work. The mechanism. 1. Identify your most important current goal and ask, what timeline am I measuring this against? 2. If the timeline is shorter than the plan realistically requires, you have pre-programmed yourself to feel like a failure before you have had time to succeed. 3. Set a realistic timeline, then divide it into the smallest measurable monthly unit of progress and measure only that.
Mechanism 3. He treated expert consensus as a starting point, not a ceiling. The story. When Musk entered the rocket industry, he was told by every aerospace expert that building a reusable rocket was physically impossible. He read the textbooks, spoke to the engineers, and concluded that the consensus was based on economic assumptions, not physical laws. The impossible was actually, nobody has tried to do it this cheaply.
The psychology. Expert consensus is the average of what has already been attempted by people working within existing constraints. It is not a map of what is physically possible. It is a map of what has been done before within the resources and incentives that existed before. Every major breakthrough in human history has required someone to treat expert consensus as a starting point for questioning, not a final answer. The mechanism. 1. Identify one area in your life where you have accepted that is just how it is, without personally verifying whether it is actually true. 2. Find one person who has contradicted that consensus through achievement, through research, through direct experience. 3. Use their existence as proof that the consensus is not a law. Then decide whether the consensus applies to you specifically.
Mechanism 4. He separated his identity from public opinion. The story. Musk has been called a fraud, a narcissist, a danger to society, and a failure by journalists, by competitors, by former employees, and by governments. He has been the subject of regulatory investigations, public campaigns, and coordinated media attacks. His response to all of it has been to continue building, hiring, and executing, while treating public opinion as irrelevant data. The psychology. The capacity to function effectively under sustained public attack requires a specific psychological architecture, the complete separation of self-worth from external validation. People who derive their sense of self from public approval cannot survive sustained public disapproval because the withdrawal of approval feels existential. People who generate their self-worth internally are attack-proof by design. The mechanism. 1. Identify the source from which you primarily derive your sense of self-worth. Internal, your own standards, or external, others' opinions. 2. If external, identify one standard you hold for yourself that has nothing to do with anyone else's approval. 3. Build your self-assessment system on that standard and practice holding it unchanged regardless of what external voices say about you that week. Mechanism 5. He used obsession as a competitive weapon. The story. Musk routinely works 80 to 100-hour weeks. He has publicly described sleeping on the factory floor during Tesla's production crises. He has missed his children's birthdays, his own health has been publicly affected, and he has described the experience of building these companies as chewing glass. He does it anyway. The psychology. This is not glorification of self-destruction. It is the recognition that in any competitive domain, the person willing to outwork the field has a compounding advantage that talent alone cannot match. Obsession is a competitive weapon, not because suffering produces results, but because the person who cares more than everyone else consistently outlasts, outworks, and outperforms everyone who cares less. The mechanism. 1. Identify whether you care about your primary pursuit enough to continue when it stops being enjoyable, because it will. 2. If the answer is yes, structure your life to give that pursuit more hours than anyone competing with you is giving it. 3. If the answer is no, find something you care about enough. Competence without obsession loses to obsession with average competence, given enough time. Elon Musk is not a superhuman. He is a person who pre-decided that failure was not a stop sign, that experts were not a ceiling, and that public opinion was not a verdict. Those are decisions, and every single one of them is available to you right now.